Hello. Happy Monday. Can't believe it's Monday again. All right, looks like I'm good here live. And just gonna wait. It's just now 5 o'clock. I'm gonna wait a few seconds. Let some people come on in. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I do have my AirPods in, so hope you guys had a nice Christmas. We did. It was nice. The kids had a really good time. Got everything they wanted and more. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Tonight, I keep getting this pop up here. Sorry. I think we're good still. First things, I'm going to go ahead and announce our winner for the free month of coaching, nutrition coaching. So I put that up last night after the Bills won. Yeah. And I thought it would be a cool opportunity to tie into giving away a free month. I just want to offer that service, and stay tuned because in the next, probably week or so with New Year's coming, I'll have some more offers and giveaways for coaching. If you don't happen to win tonight, there's more opportunities coming. All right, 1 second here and I will get things rolling with the drawing. Just a second. Okay. So I have a list of people here that entered in for a free month with me. And I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel if you were a part of that. All right, so I've got everybody entered in here on my phone. And the winner is, here we go, it's spinning, spinning, spinning. Lori! All right, Lori Broccolo. Nice. All right, so I will reach out to you afterwards, and we'll get you going on your free month of nutrition coaching. Super exciting. All right. So with tonight's topic, I had put the title of this, or the hook, if you will, one thing you might be missing when it comes to weight loss. Now, I always like to distinguish weight loss with fat loss. So whenever you hear me speaking about weight loss, it is going to be fat loss, because that is the usually the goal that we're after. A lot of people just kind of lump it together as weight loss, but with all of the quick fixes and all of these quick ways of losing weight, it's not necessarily fat that we're losing. So I always like to just point that out before I even go into any kind of topic. But the topic that I have tonight is actually going to be about periodization. So what do I mean by that? This could be the one thing you might have skipped over, or maybe no one's ever taught it to you. And truthfully, I never really paid much attention to it myself, other than when I compete and do my shows. But if you think about it in terms of like an athletic standpoint, athletes have like phases or seasons, right? So they have an in-season, an off-season, post-season, and pre-season. And our diets and nutrition can be a lot like that. So I'll kind of go through these phases with you tonight, but that's basically what I wanted to talk about. So a lot of times when we think about, especially with New Year's coming, people are going to go on their diet. What that diet means is kind of like in season, right? So anytime we're in season, we're stressing the body a little bit, or for an athlete, they're really going in high mode with stressing the bodies and kind of going full on in season. So that's kind of what dieting is. And why do we want to go into these phases or periods is because your body we, as humans, we adapt, right? So any kind of stress we place on our body, at some point the body's going to adapt to that. We are just conditioned to adapt and stay alive, basically. So any kind of harsh conditions you put on your body, eventually your body's going to say either this is working or it's not working. So we're going to just stop because we're adapted. Sometimes a buzzword right now is called metabolic adaptation, which basically means that. So if you're somebody that has dieted for a long time, you do a lot of training, and you're like, what's going on? Nothing's happening to my body. You might be adapted, which means we have to change some things. And that's a hard thing for some people to wrap their head around, because it means, so a lot of times it means increasing calories, going off of that diet and reverse dieting. And that's a hard thing for sometimes people to get into. But I'll go through that's kind of why we would periodize, but here's what it actually looks like. So for the people that are in season, and this is where a coach can really help you out, because you don't know if you're in season, off season, pre-season, post-season. Sometimes you're just like, you go by how you feel, right? So you're feeling like your pants are a little tight. I'm going to jump on my diet again, or I'm going to cut the carbs, or whatever your method is. That's usually our signal to diet. So if you think about that, and you pick, we're at the very start of a new year coming up here. So if you think about your next year coming up, you can maybe just create a quick blueprint for yourself for the next year of what your phases are going to look like, so that dieting doesn't seem so daunting. Maybe you have a period of 6 to 8 weeks where you're not traveling, things are just, you're just doing your normal stuff. Maybe that's your diet phase, where you're going to just cut calories a little bit and be in your fat loss mode. And then maybe you're having some, just like we're coming off of the holidays, maybe this is kind of like your off season, where you're not so focused on fat loss all the time. And I think that's where generally people get themselves into a bind, is when fat loss is the only concern ever. And a good example of this is vacations. When we allow the fat loss and the goal or the outcome to take over at all times, the process then becomes horrible. We don't look forward to anything. It's all the same. You're just cutting calories, and then when does that cycle end? So I think having these phases also gives you things to look forward to. And again, another example would be my figure competitions. If I were to just stay in the fat loss phase forever, at some point my body would rebel. I would probably kill somebody. And it's just, again, restriction. So we're trying to get to a point where we don't have to restrict, but sometimes you'll be a little bit more stricter than others. And so that's where these phases come in. So I'm going to go through real quick, and I'm going to follow up this video tomorrow with a PDF. I'm a very visual person, so as I was creating the content for tonight, I like to kind of have a nice visual. So I just did a one-page PDF that I'll post here in the group tomorrow that just kind of, summarizes everything I talked about tonight real quick. Again, I like to keep things very simple and easy to digest, so I don't keep you here forever and you're like, what was she talking about? All right, so for our in-season people, again, we're coming up on New Year's. This might be coming up on your in-season, right? We want fat loss. So fat loss, I'm going to call this the stressor. This is the point of our phase where we're stressing the body a little bit with calorie deficit. So we're cutting down on the calories a little bit. And again, if you don't have somebody to help you with what that number is, I highly suggest that, wink, wink, because you might just be shooting in the dark of like just a random number, or sometimes even like what MyFitnessPal gives you or something you look up on the internet. It can be way too low for you. So it really depends on the individual. So I would encourage you to reach out to a coach and figure out what your calorie needs are, and then figure out what your deficit looks like so that you're doing it safely and properly. All right, so that's in season, and we're gonna obviously these are gonna be different for every single person. It doesn't have to be New Year's that you're going into this deficit. You can wait a little bit longer. But again, maybe just map it out and put it on paper. Next one would be postseason. So every in-season needs an off-season and recovery. So when you go off of your cut or your deficit, you're going to need to slowly recover. So again, I give you my competition example. I was in a deficit for this time. It was about 5 to 6 weeks. Usually it's longer than that though, like 12 weeks. I rushed it this time. Not a good idea. But after your competition is when, or your fat loss phase is when you're going to ramp up your calories slightly. And if you do it too quickly, that's when we run into problems with hormonal issues, imbalances. The stress response on the body starts to go a little bit haywire if we go it too quickly. So again, having someone to help you ramp up your calories after a fat loss phase is always a good idea. And people get a little nervous about that. And it's, again, called that reverse diet phase. And they think that all of the work they've done in the calorie deficit phase is going to be erased. And just the opposite, your body may even respond. Not everybody does, but sometimes people even continue to lose weight or lose fat in their reverse dieting phase. So it just depends on every person's different situation, but I have seen that a couple of times now in my coaching as the reverse diet continues to, just because it's a change and your body's now getting fed the proper nutrients. So sometimes that the body can actually let go a little bit more because they're not so stressed, not so holding on to every calorie that's coming in. Suddenly we release that stress a little bit, we recover, and the body's like, thank you. I can let go of this fat now. So sometimes we see that in the postseason. Off-season, I would say, kind of, which is what we've just gone through with these holidays, that's kind of my off-season, is not worrying about it. So we don't track maybe as much. If you're somebody that tracks your food, which is another great tool. If you're not tracking, you're kind of in your off-season, but you can kind of be working on certain lifestyle skills still in this off-season phase. So still focusing on how much water you're drinking, kind of the low-hanging fruit of what's easiest and what you can maintain forever. So sometimes these calorie deficits and calorie climbs, they're not something that we do forever, but drinking water is something we do forever. Taking walks should be something we do forever. So that's kind of what I consider the off-seasons, the easy stuff, and you're not stressed over it. Then we have preseason. So this is basically getting ready to go into in-season. And usually for athletes, it's kind of getting ready to practice more. If it's, they're just playing their sport more than they normally would as they get ready for their in-season. So this for your fat loss phase would be just kind of preparing your mind. It doesn't have to be a very long phase. It's going to be longer for some people that have never done these seasons before. But if you are somebody that's gone through a deficit and a reverse diet, this might be something that you build in, short term. So getting yourself mentally prepared for what's to come with your stress phase or your fat loss phase. So those are the 4 phases. Again, I will post a PDF that kind of just summarizes all of those. And I hope that helps. Again, I think the misconception out there with dieting is that, even though it is something we want to do forever, calorie deficit should not be something we do forever. So if you didn't get anything out of this video, just remember that we're not cutting calories all the time. You should do a little bit of fluctuation so you let your body continue to change, evolve, and get the nutrients it needs, even when you're, in a calorie deficit. So all things you can work on with a coach to help you out. It's going to be even better, even easier to kind of just map that out and have a nice visual of your year. So I hope that helps, and congratulations to Lori again. I'll reach out and get you started. And like I said, stay in touch. Keep tuned to the page here because I'm going to have some more opportunities for coaching and different things coming up with the new year. I'm going to be quite busy here, so keep adding friends to the page. This is a nice community. I like to have seeing you guys all on here. So I just want to keep growing it. I think we're almost to 400 members, so that's really awesome, considering I just started this over the summer. And I look forward to getting on here now every Monday with you. And if you have any topics you're just confused about, or if anything I talked about tonight confused you, shoot me a message. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you and just talk it over some more. All right, guys, have an awesome night, and I'll see you next Monday.